Let's move on. Nigeria's President Muhammadu Buhari has given the Minister of Education, Mallam Adamu Adamu, 2 weeks to resolve issues of contention regarding the strike action embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities. The president gave the directive during the meeting with the minister and the relevant agencies, after he summoned them to receive a briefing from the government representatives on why the strike had spanned for so long.
The president, after hearing from the relevant ministries and departments, ordered the Minister of Education to ensure that the issues were resolved within 2 weeks and reports given back to him. Apart from the directive to the Education Minister, the president also instructed the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngigi, as well as the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, to be in attendance at all the meetings to resolve the crisis in due time. ASUU had embarked on a nationwide strike action since February 14, 2022 over the adoption of the Integrated Personal Payroll Information System of the government as the payment system for university staff members.
Now, issues of poor funding of universities, non-payment of salaries and allowances of some staff, as well as the failure of the government to pay earned academic allowances to lecturers, among others, are part of the complaints of ASUU.
What are the hopes that this order will actually resolve this strike? Because this is not the first time that we've seen this. We did take on one of the days on the front pages of the newspaper where he said, "End ASUU strike now." He's given this order before. What is the guarantee that this order will be taken into action? Because there are grievances, there are grounds for the strike. There are things that have been complained about. Is the government going to meet them? Is the government going to address the payment system for ASUU? Is there going to be, because money is the basic conversation.
Yeah, well,
I don't know. I don't really.
So if you will allow a strike that started in February to still be on in July, we're about wrapping up July, it already tells you what level of interest that the government really has. And the president cannot simply be given that order in July. The strike has been on since February. And so he could have given that order immediately started in February, realizing the students were not going to school. Your schools have been shut down since February. So saying it in July for me, it's not meant to be like a huge story of breaking news, because we have waited. Our schools have been shut down for these many months.
5 months and 6
exactly.
days.
So what's the thing that happens in July that, is the president just being aware now that the strike has been on since February?
So I think that this strike actually happened on February 14th. Safe to say that was
a Valentine's Day
gift. They were served
students,
breakfast.
Yeah, but so yes, the Minister of Education needs to be spoken to. The Minister of Labour also needs to step in here. He's also mentioned Secretary to Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. But a lot of questions, we've said it since the last couple of years. What's the level of interest that this government has with education? Because I think I mentioned it yesterday that if you look at the amount of money that will be spent campaigning for elections in 2023, you'd realize that ASUU is the smallest bill that the government could have paid a long time ago if they really wanted to pay it.
Absolutely. It's quite overwhelming to think about what the students are dealing with, the lecturers and the staff of these our universities in Nigeria are dealing with, not being able to go back to school or to work or to earn salaries in the past 5 months and 6 days. But we do hold hope, because that's what we have right now. We hold hope and trust again.
Yeah, I'll just quickly mention something that when the president says it must be ended in 2 weeks, I remember that they had an agreement late last year in December that ended that strike. So there was a strike last year that ended sometime November, December.
That was some sort of a warning strike.
Yeah, so eventually they had some agreement, right? And the government failed. Once again, in their own, aspect of the agreement, in the promises that they also made to ASUU, the government failed. And so when they say resolve this in 2 weeks, I have the fear that they are going to make more promises to ASUU, make little of, some of the commitments that they made like last year, and might fail again. And so we might be hearing about another ASUU strike in 3 months or in 2 months, when they realize that the government has not in any way played its own part.
Which will not make sense, to be honest. It won't make sense to go back and then find out that they're going back on another strike I hope that this
But
is
the
resolved
reason
finally.
that they are currently on strike is because the government made agreements with them in December, signed of agreements and said, okay, we are done with the strike, and failed to meet up with those agreements.
That's
The reason they went on strike in the first place is because the government failed to meet up with agreements. So I don't know what is new with this one, to be honest.
like I said, we're just going to hold on hope that this time around it's for real and that our students can get back to school, because it is really a sad, leaves a bad taste in our mouth that our students can't be home for months, and politics goes on like with it's business as usual. What is really the value of the Nigerian student? We will be bringing more updates as regards the story. Bear in mind that the NLC has also said that they will be going on the solidarity strike in support of ASUU on the 25th and the 26th of July. We'll be following up with these stories as we proceed.